Well, this morning, the Biden administration is expecting an earful from city mayors. They are fed up with the nation's immigration crisis as the White House blames Republicans. This comes as the Secretary of Homeland Security is facing an impeachment effort on Capitol Hill. And joining us this morning with more is Shannon Bream. Good morning. Thanks so much for being here with us.
Good morning. Great to be with you.
So here in Chicago, of course, we are facing rising numbers of incoming migrants as many big cities. Falling temperatures, of course, right now, this time of year. So the mayor, along with New York City's mayor, is pleading for help from Washington. How is Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas responding?
Well, he essentially says that they are controlling the border. A lot of folks push back against that. What do you mean by controlled? Because Democrats and Republicans, people who don't have a party affiliation, say what they see there is disturbing. It's chaotic. And you mentioned the Democrats that are now publicly speaking out. They've been begging. They've been calling out the president, calling out the White House publicly. So it's become a very, very difficult issue for them. It polls terribly for the president, especially in the middle of a re-election campaign. And to have all of these folks out there publicly from his own party saying we are desperate and you need to get control of this is putting a lot of pressure on the White House, which gives some folks in Washington some hope that maybe these Senate negotiations over a border deal might actually be substantive and go somewhere, because there's a lot of pressure on the White House.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of pressure on Congress to get some type of a government shutdown avoided by the deadline, which was tonight. But some on the far right are still skeptical of using the temporary measure again for the third time. Talk a little bit more about how you think things play out in the next day and weeks.
So a snowstorm was rolling into D.C. You guys are pros there in Chicago. It's a little tougher for the folks in D.C., so they really wanted to get this thing done. They got the measure passed last night that buys them a few more weeks. But again, they'll have 12 appropriations bills to get through the House and the Senate. Can they get it done by March? They haven't gotten it done so far. So I think Washington should understand why so many of us are skeptical about this. Congress has got a 19% approval rating. And yeah, the Speaker has got a really tough situation in that they've got the tiniest majority they've ever held. It's the smallest majority ever in the history of Congress for the GOP. So there's not a lot to work with when you have conservatives who say we don't want to vote for this, and many of them didn't vote for that continuing resolution last night. But they've got to find a way forward, or we're going to be doing this again in March.
Yeah, and I'm sure the Speaker is also looking what happened to the last Speaker after he worked out a deal that included Democrats. Yep. So who's going to be on your Sunday show?
We've got 3 members of Congress with us. Each of them is a surrogate for one of the 3 top GOP contenders here in New Hampshire. So someone for Haley, DeSantis, and Trump. But we also want to talk to them about the campaign trail, but all this dysfunction in Washington as well. How do you move forward? How do you win back the trust of the American people by actually getting things accomplished? We'll see if they've got any answers.
Well, Fox News Sunday at 9 a.m. We'll be right here on Fox 32, everybody. Make sure you tune in. Shannon, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend. You too.